Good morning, it's Bob Massi from Law Office of Massi and Massi. As you know, my son is with me practicing law. We're going to talk today about a very common question I get and a concern. All of us who have children and grandchildren, the question becomes, what is our responsibility as a parent for the actions of our children that may cause injury to someone else? So let's assume that they're minor children. Obviously, we're not talking about 3, 4, 5-year-olds here. If a child does something willfully, gets a rock, throws it through the neighbor's window, and breaks it, that could be considered a willful act. Under the law, you as a parent can be exposed up to $10,000 in personal liability to you because we are responsible for the willful acts of our children, but they cap it. So that's pretty straightforward. Also, there's a statute that talks about negligent entrustment of firearms. I would encourage you to go to Google and just print in Nevada, negligent entrustment of firearms. If a child, for example, gets possession of a firearm, automatically goes off and wounds another person, you as a parent have liability, not because that was a willful act, but because you did not properly supervise your children, and therefore you could be exposed to a liability which is not capped, okay? So God forbid, if you let a firearm out and your minor child gets possession of that and somebody's child is playing in the backyard or a parent is there and the firearm goes off, you negligently entrusted that firearm to the child. And as a result of that, you could be held responsible for the damages to that person or child as a result of the actions. And God forbid if somebody would die, that would be a wrongful death action. If they're injured, that also will be an action for, again, negligent entrustment, and you could be held responsible because we have a duty to supervise our children. It's very, very important that you understand not only do you have responsibility to supervise your children, but when you invite other children to your house to play with your children, you also now are taking on the responsibility of a custodian, so to speak, where you now are responsible to make sure that the conditions of your premises are safe that will not cause the injury to a child other than a firearm. For example, what if you're having some remodeling done at your house and you don't properly barrier it off, and one of your child's friends are over and they walk into that area and they trip and fall and break an arm or break a leg? You could be held responsible legally responsible because you in fact are responsible for the actions of anything that happens on that property. You must supervise the actions of the people that are on your property, in this case, children. So I grew up and I had my kids, everybody came to my house. I wanted all their friends at my house so I knew what they were doing. I understand also that I took on that responsibility that my house had to be in a safe condition, and I also had a responsibility to supervise everything that's going on at the house, which in many cases parents don't. I actually knew parents when my kids were younger that actually let some of the friends who were teenagers drink at their house, which is an absurd thing to do. If you want to get sued, go ahead and do that. You'll find yourself in a courtroom on that issue. So remember that we as parents have the responsibility to properly supervise the actions of our children that could result in injuries to someone else, and we have the responsibility to supervise other children who are at our house that we invited into our house so that they do not get injured while there. Obviously, if they're playing in the backyard as kids, hopefully parents aren't that greedy that they're going to sue saying, well, you shouldn't allow that kind of behavior. If their kids just playing, that's a different story. But if you have a condition where it's dangerous and somebody's injured, then you have a problem. Now, what do? If that happens, you turn it over to your homeowner's insurance. Willful acts, they're not going to cover. Criminal acts, they're not going to cover. But negligent acts, they can take responsibility. It's a fact-driven type of issue. You have to explain to them what happened. What will happen is the parents of the child that's injured will go to a lawyer. They'll send a letter of representation to you. You'll let them know, here's your homeowner's insurance, and they contact the homeowner's insurance, kick in, hopefully will cover. Let's talk about dogs. Dog bite cases I've had over the years. I've done personal injury for years. Inherently dangerous dogs, pit bulls, Rottweilers, any dog. There's actually a list of dogs that are considered inherently dangerous. Most of the time, they can be excluded in your insurance policy. So make sure, if you have a homeowner's policy, which you should, make sure that, in fact, you contact them and see if there's anything excluded in your policy for dangerous dogs at your house. But if, in fact, you have a dog at your house and the dog bites somebody that's there, you too could have responsibility, because you have to make sure, again, that things are properly supervised. Bottom line is, guys, when you have family at your house, when you have children at your house, other than your own, that are playing and you're entertaining them, they're what we call invitees. We have invited them to our house. We have a duty to warn them of any dangerous condition. We have the responsibility to keep our place safe so that nobody gets injured to the best of our ability. But if a claim is put in, turn it over to your insurance company in the hopes that they will cover these type of injuries. Share this with your family and friends. Remember, our law offices of Massi and Massi. We're located at 105 North Pecos Road, Suite 100, Henderson, Nevada, on the corner of Pecos and Wigwam. Our office number is 702-870-1100. Also, go to our YouTube. We're building up our YouTube, so this will be posted on YouTube because we want to get more subscribers to our YouTube page. And if you have any questions, of course, call for a consultation. Have a good day. Share this with your friends.